What's up, guys? Man, new week. It's hotter than shit outside and everything else in the book. But yeah, fun times. Um, I know there might have been some confusion as what I was talking about. I think it was Friday. Was it Friday? I don't remember what day it was. Every day seems Friday. um, where I was trying to figure out what was going on with my wife and stuff. She's actually in the hospital right now. She's still in the hospital. We think it might be appendicitis, but the issues that I have with the hospitals in Ukraine, I'll kind of compare it to like our hospitals here in the States. So, you know how we got like our local city hospitals, some of them are good, some of them are shitty. And then you have like your big medical centers, like your learning hospitals, like the UC Davis Med Center. You got, you got like North Carolina, Chapel Hill, I think, has a good one. Think about like anyways, I can't remember naming them all up, but you know what I mean with like those big learning medical hospitals that have the state of the art everything, that the latest and greatest of everything for the most part. And then of course you got your locals, which can be good, or most of the time they're not the best. So you usually end up going to a big city for treatments. That's kind of like how I can equate it into Ukraine. You either have your state-run hospital, which is your government hospital, much, much, much cheaper to go there, but they're slower than molasses, and the care is always not the best. Or you go to a private hospital, which would be equated to like your medical centers, your learning hospitals, stuff like that. Of course, you pay more money, but you get what you pay for, which is good care. I mean, giving them, my wife is well outside of a big city. She's in a very small town. She's in a regional one. She can't make it to the big one. Um, we don't even know yet the results of the tests. They ran them on Friday, and we'll know more tomorrow, hopefully. So she's just been in a hospital in a lot of pain. So I've had an opportunity to finally talk to her, and it's not going too well. With trying to talk, so we just wind up texting. But yeah, I am absolutely stressed. I want to bounce and run over there, and I have to see what work says, because work can be a pain in the ass and they can threaten a job or whatever if I wanted to disappear for a month. Still work remotely, but it work is just a different beast to deal with. And to lose an income that I have, which takes care of my mom, my dad, her mom, um, helps out my wife, and obviously help out my daughter, keeps a roof over my head, food on the table, bills paid. I can't lose that, because anything else I get now would be far less than where I'm at financially at this point. So it's something I can't jeopardize, and my wife is very well aware of that. And she's more like, if I can go, great. If not, as long as we're talking and doing our best to stay in communication while she's in the hospital, she's happy with that as well. Just didn't want people to think that, oh, she was out like chasing around after other guys, because some people had that kind of impression, to keep an eye on her when she's in country trying to take care of her mom, and that's not her, and that's not the case. I just wanted to kind of say something, because I started looking back at the video. I'm like, ah, shit, I really left that pretty vague. So, anyways, so let's get going. We got modern dating chaos we're going to be looking at today. We got some feminist contradictions, and why a lot of guys are just saying no thanks and piecing out. So let's get into it.
Reasons women don't like the quote unquote nice guy is because nice guys tend to be incredibly toxic. A lot of nice guys have very, very poor emotional control. They have the inability to set boundaries, and they can just lash out and be violent or cruel, especially when the object of their affection is not reciprocating, the emotions or whatever they might be giving them. They also are usually very, very generous, and so they'll give and give and give with expectations, and then when those expectations aren't met, they're pissed off, and it's just irritating. That's what the nice guys in my DMs do when they come at me and they start with like really nice things, and then it starts becoming incredibly mean by the end, because I wasn't as responsive. But I don't owe you anything, There's shows like Friends, it looks like, oh, well, Ross deserves Rachel. Whatever, he's the nice guy, and he deserves her. That's not how the world works. Like, nobody owes you anything. I certainly don't owe you anything. No woman owes you anything. That's why the girls don't like the nice guys, because it's chaotic.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Basically, women don't like nice guys because they're toxic? I mean, give me a break. Look, the same women complaining about emotional control are the ones chasing after bad boys with rap sheets longer than a CVS receipt. I mean, sure, some dudes overdo the nice act, but it sounds more like projection in this case. Women expect men to give, but when a guy has the audacity to hope for mutual respect, he's labeled toxic. And no man owes you endless validation or freebies. You want nice, respect goes both ways. Otherwise, just stop demonizing decency because you're chasing Chad's attention instead.
3 years ago today, I left a 5-bedroom, 3 full bath, 3-car garage, beautiful fenced-in backyard home to move into my mom's basement at 35 years old because I asked for a divorce. I divorced the nice guy, knowing I was not in love and not fulfilled in that marriage, and that we truly just were not compatible. I had no money because I had been running a successful business, but this all happened during COVID, and my business was an in-person business, so it was greatly affected by that. That on top of emotional and mental abuse I was dealing with and transition of leaving my home, I could barely function to work because I was in such a dark place. I lost family. I lost friends. I had people make up blatant lies about me. Instead of just coming to me and talking to me, they assumed the worst in everything. I didn't know where I was gonna go, and I lived with my mom for an entire summer until I found this crappy little townhome that I took because I could afford it. It was old, the basement flooded, but I made it my own. It was in a really bad neighborhood, and I constantly also had to deal with cops showing up at my neighbor's door. But again, I could afford it, and at that time, that's all that mattered. I was now not only a single mom, I had to figure everything out on my own. I had to get assistance with rent. I had to get help with food. I was in the lowest of lows. I went from being a 6-figure successful business owner to barely surviving. Fast forward 3 years to today, and I am in this beautiful loft. I run 3 successful businesses, and I am genuinely in love with who I am. The decision to divorce is not always easy. It is very scary. But what I do know is it's scarier staying with somebody you know you are genuinely not in love with, because it's hurting them just as much as it's hurting you. I promise you, you will make it. And the minute you'll know you've made it is when you can authentically be yourself with 0 questions.
Somebody who had it all, probably a loving marriage, at least in the husband's eyes. Both of them seem to be most likely successful because she's talking about the business she was running. Everybody was affected by COVID one way or another. And you threw it all away, living in a bad part of town in a basement flooding townhouse with a child that you would put in danger living in a shit box like that. And you're like, look, now I got this little loft and I'm running a business. You could have been 40 times better where you were if you would have stayed. So what'd you leave? Are you bored? I mean, really what she's preaching here is this modern I am a queen manifesto. Leave a stable home, you trash your husband's character, and then cry victim when reality checks you into the basement. Talking about emotional mental abuse, was that before or after your husband worked himself to death to pay for the 5-bedroom dream? And COVID didn't wreck your life, your choices did. And now, after scraping by on rental assistance, you claim independence like it's a badge of honor. Jesus Christ, you're so far out in left field. Delusion. But as you put it, you're successful now, but let's not pretend your kid didn't pay the price for your personal empowerment tour. This is what liberation looks like. Sad, isn't it?
I'm going to make a lot of females mad, but I think it's time that we stop congratulating women that leave men in relationships. Like, good job, girl. He was a piece of shit anyway. I knew that you could leave him. Meanwhile, old Sally hasn't given her man Pound Town in over a year, and her man's mentally drained, going insane, finally steps out, and Sally notices that Tom's cheating, and now he's the fucking problem. I think we really need to start normalizing that most of the problem in good marriages that were good in the beginning, and because the woman wasn't holding up her end of the relationship anymore. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, I have a headache. I don't want to right now. Like, I think that happens more often than not. And then when the man does step out, all the other women are like, girl, he was a piece of shit anyway. Girl, he wasn't worth it. Girl, blah, blah, blah. When in actuality, you had a good ass man. You just didn't know how to maintain him.
Finally, some truth. I'm just going to add on to what she's talking about is women bailing on their responsibilities while blaming men. It's really just peak modern dating. Ladies, withholding intimacy and emotional support doesn't make you empowered, it makes you negligent. And when your man seeks attention elsewhere, suddenly he's Satan? Please. Talk about the double standards. I mean, look, half of you couldn't maintain a goldfish, let alone a relationship. So stop weaponizing your victim narrative to avoid accountability. And guys, if you're dealing with this I'm too tired excuse bullshit on repeat, take note. You're not the problem. She's just not invested. So it's time to pack your passport and find better options.
So who regrets getting separated the most? In my experience, the person who regrets the separation the most is the man in the relationship, if this was a cishet relationship. And the reason why is linked to the reason that a lot of people think that the family law is unfair for men, even though it's not. The thing about the family law is that it is completely gender neutral in terms of how all of the rights and obligations are laid out, but we live in a society that is still patriarchal, right? So what that means is that men tend to have better opportunities being employed outside of the household. They tend to earn more on the dollar than women. As a result of this, and because of our historical sort of madman approach to the idea of the family wage and the man working and the woman staying at home and being the caregiver for the children, etc., because of all of that, we still tend to have a situation where in the long term, in terms of relationships, the mom will get pregnant, will stay home, will take care of the children, and will establish essentially like a traditional situation. Now, what comes along with that traditional household organization, otherwise known as a gender division of labor, is that the man works outside of the home and the woman is responsible for housework, very often yard work as well, organizing, managing, and buying all of the supplies that the family needs, all of the childcare, waking up with the child through the night, etc. Now, sometimes, yes, there's more of a division, a little bit more of an equal sharing. But as well, on top of this, women are responsible for the emotional labor of the household. How many of you have had to remind your husband or partner that their mother's birthday is coming up and purchase the birthday cards or the Mother's Day cards or the Father's Day cards or the anniversary cards or the presents or whatever it is while putting your partner's name on it? After separation, the partner who has benefited from all of these things, whether that person is a man, a woman, non-binary, whatever, it's that partner who regrets the relationship ending. But that doesn't always mean that they're going to come back to you. Very often that means that they are going to either try to reconcile and work things out, or that they're going to try to repartner with someone else to fill the role that you fulfilled that you've lost. And the best example that I ever had of this is very often us lawyers, we need to look at people's bank account statements, credit card statements, etc. I double check the date of separation with my client. Literally the first charge on their credit card statement for after that was a subscription dating site. So, who regrets the divorce or the separation more? Usually it's the person who had a lot more being done for them.
Where do you come up with this shit?
The fact that you're going on with gender neutrality, cis man, woman, dog, cow, frog, cat, horse, elephant, whatever. I'm Gen X. I don't give a fuck. You're this or you're this. The rest of it, figure it out. Quit trying to identify as a fucking wall, car, tire. She lost me at that right then and there. She already just completely discredited herself. But let's kind of tackle some of this shit here. So family law is gender neutral. She told a joke. I mean, men, don't buy into this propaganda. Family law is not gender neutral, and any man that's gone through the ringer knows that. Court hands women custody and alimony like they're Oprah giving away cars. And this so called emotional labor women complain about, it's called being an adult. But men are gutted financially. They're paying for kids they rarely get to see and then covering for her reinvention. And the real kicker is women get bored playing housewife, cash out, and still claim victimhood. Then they move on to the next guy, do it all over again. But guys, don't fall for this trap. Marriage in the West is a financial grenade. So walk away or look abroad where family actually means something. If I offended anybody with my views of one or the other, I don't care. I really don't. But guys, modern dating ship in the West is just a minefield of entitlement, double standards, legal traps for men. Courts favor women. Feminism ideology breeds selfishness, and social media amplifies dysfunction. And guys, protect yourself, avoid marriage in the West, demand fairness, and consider traditional cultures where mutual respect still thrives. Focus on building yourself and leaving the toxic systems behind. But remember, your worth isn't dictated by a broken society. So just stay smart and stay free. Well, that's the end of the video here today. If you like what you've seen, hit that like button, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Drop me a comment down below on what you think, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.